Hi everyone, today we are going to see active and passive voice. So voice indicates whether the subject is the doer of the action or the receiver of the action. For example, Sarah baked a cake. So this is said to be the active voice. Why? Because the doer of the action is the subject and the receiver of the action is the object. So the verb is said to be in the active voice. Whereas a cake was baked by Sarah. So in this sentence, cake is the receiver of the action done by Sarah. What action Sarah did? Sarah baked the cake. So was baked is said to be in the passive voice. Now, when you observe this, you find that some addition is made here. This addition is actually a form of be. So let us see what are the forms of be. So passive is equal to be plus verb 3. Verb 3 means past participle. Past participle. That is what verb 3. Now, this be, that is essential for making passive voice. So, what are the forms of be? Forms of be. We have present forms of be. What are the present forms of be? Is, am, or are. Now, past forms of be. Past of is, was, and past of where is, are is, where. Now, continuous. What is the continuous form of be? Be plus ing. That is being. Being is the continuous form. And perfect form being. So you may wonder that what are these forms? See, present means simple present tense we form using this form of be. Continuous already is given plus ing form. So in that case we only use being. Now past of is and am was, and past of are is were. So in past, simple past we use was or were plus verb 3. Now perfect form, like continuous form we have the ing form. Like that perfect form is being, which is the past participle form of be. Be, was, being. So perfect form is. Now we have the modals. Modals means modal auxiliaries like will, shall for future and the rest of the modal auxiliaries. So modals we have be itself, like she will bake some cake. She will bake some cake. So will bake, when we change that into passive, it will be some cake will be baked by her. So be is for the rest. Now let us observe how this is used. Now we know simple present. Simple present is actually the first tense that we discussed, and when we use simple present, the form of be is am. Let us see. So as we are seeing, mom washes some clothes. Mom washes some clothes. So here, mom is the doer of the action, clothes, the action received. So washes is said to be in the simple present tense. So what are the forms of be? Is, am, are. And we know that is, am both are used with singular and are is used with plural. So when we choose a form of be, it should agree with the subject in number and person. Number means singular number, plural number. Person means first, second, third person. So in that case, passive will be some clothes. So receiver became the subject. So the verb should be changed into passive. So wash is simple present. So some clothes, plural. So are. Now plus verb 3. Wash has become washed. Some clothes are washed by mom. Now if it is a singular one, like she cooks some tasty lunch. She cooks some tasty lunch. So here the receiver is actually tasty lunch. That is singular. So some tasty lunch is cooked by her. Some tasty lunch is cooked by her. So this is about simple present. So here form of be, the present form plus verb 3. Here also form of be in singular with agreeing with third person singular, and then verb 3. Verb 3 means past participle form. So in the same way, was and were. Like Mohan beat Raju. So beat, beaten. So this is the past form. Like read, read, read. Spelling is same, read and read. Same way, beat also, spelling is same. So Raju now was beaten by Mohan. So here Raju was beaten by Mohan. Was beaten. Now if the object is plural, then we have to change that into where instead of was. Like for example, he taught the children. He taught the children grammar. He taught the children grammar. Now, here we know one is a plural object, another one is a singular object. So let us take the plural object. If we take the plural object, the children, in past tense, past form of be was were. So children plural. So the verb that agrees with children is were. Children were taught grammar by him. Children were taught grammar by him. So this is were, whereas here it is was. This is past form of be, the usage. Now we have continuous. What is the form of being continuous? It is being, whether it is present continuous or past continuous. So, Lakshmi is cooking is cooking a meal. So here a meal is the object receiver. So that will become the subject of the passive. So a meal. Now is already given, but here is cooking. Is cooking is continuous tense. So we have to use the form of be. Being. A meal is being, and then verb 3, being cooked by Lakshmi. So this is actually continuous form. And if it is a question, then for example, are they still rehearsing the play? Are they still rehearsing the play? So since it's a question, we bring the question form in the beginning. So the play is singular. So agreeing with that person singular, we have to use the form of be. Is. Is the play still, form of be, continuous tense, being rehearsed by them? Is the play still being rehearsed by them? Often it's understood that those who are concerned with rehearsing. So this is what the forms of be. Now perfect. Perfect is actually, the form of be is being. Like let's for example, the boys have completed the homework. The boys have completed the homework. So now, boys have completed what? The homework. So homework is the object. So the homework. Now, boys plural, so we used have. Whereas homework is singular, therefore has. Homework has plus being. Form of be in perfect is being. Homework has been completed by the boys. Homework has been completed by the boys. And if it is a question, in that case, for example, are the children submitted the project? Have the children submitted the project? So here, as we know, children plural, therefore have. Whereas project is singular, so the verb, auxiliary verb here is has. That should agree with the subject in number and person. So this is singular number, third person singular. Therefore has. Has the project been submitted by the children? So, has the project been submitted by the children? So this is the change. So where we started have in the beginning, that's a question. So the same pattern should be followed in passive voice. If the active is a question, passive also should be a question in the same pattern. Like speech, we know interrogative sentences we change into statements or assertive sentences. But in voice, if it's an interrogative, in passive voice, the sentence remains an interrogative. Now let's see one sentence with the form of be itself. Like you should complete the work here you, object is the work. The work should, in form of be is be itself, because all models we use be itself, should be plus verb 3 completed, and by you is understood. So the work should be completed, or the work should be completed by you. For example, will you help me? Question. Will you help me? So again, shall or will. With first person we normally use shall. Shall I be helped? Now, by you is understood. Shall I be helped? So these are the forms of be. Now we are going to the second part of this, what all areas are there where we use passive voice. Like passive voice is normally used. See, we can use active or passive voice. Certain areas active voice is more suitable, whereas certain other areas passive voice is always appreciated, and we should follow that pattern, because active voice means the doer of the action gets importance, whereas passive voice means the doer is not important, the receiver is important. So according to the context, both these types are used, but since we are discussing active and passive, let's see which areas we use passive voice. The first passive voice we use mainly to avoid the mentioning of the agent. Agent means the object of the passive. Like the doer of the action is not important, who did that. For example, he was found missing. He was found stealing. So he was found stealing by whom is not important. He was found missing by whom? Maybe by me, I found him missing. I found him stealing. Or by somebody found him stealing or missing, it's not important. So he was found missing. He was found stealing. Another area where passive is used is to emphasize the receiver of the action, or to emphasize the action received by the the object or the receiver. That's what, or the action done upon whom. If you want to give prominence or importance to that, we use passive voice. For example, Hindi is spoken almost all over India. English is spoken all over the world. So is spoken. English is spoken. By the people it is understood. So these kinds of areas we use passive voice mainly. Another thing is to make an impersonal statement. So if you don't want to mention the person, it is said that. Who said is not important. It is said that. So such kind of constructions we use passive voice. Another important area is actually to describe a process. Like if you want to describe how something cake is baked, or how ice cream is made, or how coffee is made. First, the milk is boiled, and then sugar is added. So in such kind of process we use passive voice. And then to define something, like for example, the process of lithification, like when we mention certain definitions when we make, or another example is the word used to describe an action is called a verb. So to define that, a word that is used to describe a noun is called an adjective. So is called, the passive is used. Another thing is to narrate an incident or an event. Incident or an event. For example, the spectators were stopped at the gates. Were stopped at the gates. Or the police stopped the people. So passive, normally we use that in passive rather than in active. So people were stopped near the secretariat. Another important area where we use is to describe historical or social events. Like the first Olympic Games were held at Athens in Greece. Another example, if you want, like the first independent India's flag was hoisted at the Red Fort. So some historical or social incidents. Then to make requests or invitation, you are cordially invited. Not that we invite you. Better way of expressing it is you are cordially invited to the wedding, to the function, or you are requested to, you are cordially invited to. And another one is to warn or suggest or give an advice. Water should not be wasted, rather than we should not waste water. We should not waste water is a casual, whereas water should not be wasted. Time should not be wasted. So 10th use of passive is actually to write a notice. Like for example, an interview will be held in the +2 section on such and such date. An interview will be held. So these are some of the uses. Another one is to make announcements, especially in railway stations you find. The train to Delhi will be delayed by an hour. Will be delayed. Last use of important uses we are talking about, use of passive is actually to classify. For example, metamorphic rocks can be classified into 2 groups. So in this kind of sentences, classified. Okay, next is like some exceptions or some places where we have to pay a little attention is that, imagine that a transitive verb has 2 objects. So 2 objects means either of the objects we can take as the subject of the passive. For example, he gave me a gift. He gave me a gift. In this case, see, 2 objects are there. One is me, indirect object, and gift, direct object. So either of this we can take as the subject of the passive. For example, gave is past. So I was given a gift by him, or a gift was given to me by him. So either of the objects can be the subject. Another one, Portia presented a ring to Bassanio. Portia presented a ring to Bassanio. So here also a ring and Bassanio. So Bassanio was presented a ring by Portia, or a ring presented to Bassanio by Portia. So a ring was presented to Bassanio by Portia, or Bassanio was presented a ring by Portia. Now, let's see certain cases. So, either of the object can be taken as the subject of the passive. Another area we have to pay attention to is prepositional verb. So, verb and preposition be together. Looking for, taken care, filled with, laugh at. So, here preposition is attached with verb. So, when we change that into passive, the preposition should not be omitted. It should not be omitted. It should be added with the verb in passive. For example, they laughed at the old man. So here, laughed at. This at is the preposition. So this prepositional verb should be used exactly the same way in the passive. So the old man past, so was laughed at by them. The old man was laughed at. So this at should not be left out. Another area is actually imperatives. Imperative means what? We give order, we give, we make a request, a wish, etc. So in imperative sentences, what's the format? In imperative sentences, if you want to keep that imperative sense in the passive, then we use let plus be. Or normally you have to change that into passive, then should be can be used. For example, arrange these books. Arrange these books is an imperative sentence. So this, if you want to keep it as imperative in the passive, then let should be there. For example, let the books be. Be should be there for passive. Let the books be arranged. And if you don't want to keep it as imperative, then should can be used. For example, these books, of course, these books should be arranged. See, very often, like students they are, well, we can use must, well, we can use any other, they take it as a word showing compulsion like should, must, ought to, have to, etc. But should means should only. You can't replace it by using the word must or ought to or anything. Should means should. And now another very close look that we give is if objects are not given in certain sentences, you may not find an object like do it just now. Do it just now. So in this case there is no object. So in such kind of sentences, how we change the passive? You are ordered to do it just now. You are ordered to do it just now. So that is one type of passive. Here, since there is no object, it's an order, so you are ordered to. You are requested to. Another one is an instruction, for example. Turn left. like traffic and turn left, turn right, no crossing, like such signboards you see. So turn right means what? Again, you are ordered, or you are instructed to turn left. You are instructed to turn left. So this is another important use of passive. In this case, very often we get confused how, since there is no object, because the normal way is that object becomes subject of the active. Object of the active becomes subject of the passive. Since there is no object, how we change that into passive? So these are the ways. Another one is actually when the transitive verb gives a passive sense. If it gives a passive sense, like for example, sugar tastes sweet. Taste is actually an active a verb that is in the transitive, but it gives, there is no object, so it gives a kind of passive sense. They are called quasi-passive. So that quasi means semi-passive. In this kind of sentences, which way we change that? Sugar tastes sweet. So sugar is sweet when it is tasty. This type of sentence. Sugar is sweet when it is tasted. So this is the passive. Is tasted. Like that, this cloth feels rough. This cloth is rough when it is felt. That is another way of. Now we are almost coming to the end. That we have already seen that impersonal use means like people say. So people say becomes it is said. It is said. They believe. They believe. That means what? It is believe. So this will be changed. Like for example, people once believed that Earth was flat. People once believed that Earth was flat. So how we change? It was once believed that Earth was flat. Last part is, an area that you have to pay a little bit attention is this. In order to avoid the vague doer of the action. Someone saw, someone stole, one should fill the form. So one, someone, somebody, these are all vague. It means we don't know who it is. So it is always better to avoid that in the passive. Just for example, the sentence is, someone asked me to explain it. So someone asked me to explain. So it's always better to say, I was asked to explain it. I was asked to explain it. Or one, this is one example of that, and another example, one should fill up the forms. One should fill up the form, or one has to fill up the form. The form should be filled up, or one has to invite him. So yeah, it's better to say he has to be invited. By one is not required. So by somebody, by someone, it's better to avoid such kind of usages. Like in certain cases I heard that unless you write by phrase or agent completely, you won't get marked. In that case, write for a mark. But in standard writing, it's always better to avoid when the agent is understood. Somebody stole my watch. If I know who stole it, I would say that by so and so. Otherwise, my watch was stolen. Now, my watch was stolen by somebody. It's not a standard way of writing. Okay, anyway, we will meet in the next class with a different part. So, till then, see you. God bless you all. Take care.